Here's how you can get ready to pass the BP video interview in 2024. What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English here to help you get hired. If you don't already know me, I've been helping graduates and professionals since 2013 get jobs at some of the world's best known companies. And today we're going to be breaking down the British oil and gas giant BP, better known as British Petroleum. We're going to go through some fast facts about the company that you can use in your answer, why do you want to work for BP? We're going to talk about what you can expect for the format for their first round interview, some common questions, and also there's going to be some special additions for this video, so make sure you wait around until the end when I'm going to be breaking down how to answer SJT style questions which are going to come up in this interview, so make sure you don't miss that. Let's get started. In 2023, BP made $47 billion in revenue. BP has called the UK home for over 100 years, ever since its inception in 1901. In 2022, BP announced its intention to invest over £18 billion into the UK's energy economy in a drive to help the country become carbon net zero. BP's investment strategy into energy has changed hugely, going from 3% into alternative energy forms in 2019 to over 30% in 2022. In the UK alone, BP employs 15,000 people. Globally, they employ 87,000 people, and according to their 2023 annual report, 800 of those are graduates. BP increased female representation on its board to 40%, and also ethnic minority representation at management level has tripled. So that's all your facts about BP. You can of course learn more by just reading their annual report, or download their annual report, pop it into ChatGPT and ask it to give you some facts, just like I did. Now, let's talk about the format for the BP video interview, and really this hasn't changed that much since we first started covering them in 2021. You can expect a higher view video interview with a little bit of a twist, and the twist is that there's probably going to be some SJT questions. You're going to get 3 minutes to answer each question and 30 seconds to prepare. You do get one redo, one repeat. So what I would suggest to you, if you're going to be sitting down and preparing, you do get one repeat, which is pretty cool. So what I would suggest you do when you're preparing for your BP video interview is make sure you have notes to hand. They could be around your laptop, behind the laptop, something that you could refer to in the case that you're delivering your answer and you go blah, 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 and then you forget what you're saying, you press redo, and then you can just use your notes and go again. So let's talk about the 9 most common questions that we came across when we were doing our research for BP video interview questions from 2024 from publicly available sources. And then finally, I want to finish off this video by talking about how do we answer those pesky SJT questions and a simple format that you can use to crack these types of questions. Question number 1, why do you want to work for BP? So just like you saw in our fast fact, 3 minutes equals, I would say, 6 or 7 specific facts about BP from 2023. Now they could be financials, awards, diversity, ESG, charitable. I like to use different facts just because it doesn't sound as boring, and it's something that I am interested in. As you can imagine, I've done a lot of these videos, so I like to choose different facts for different companies, and that's also something that you can do when you're preparing your answer. Another thing that I like to suggest, which kind of adds a little bit of spice, is relating one of those facts to yourself. So for example, if you are a female, then you could talk about the increase in the number of females on the board. I mean, obviously you don't have to say female like that. I'm just being weird just because it's funny and it's a little bit late when I'm making this video. Or something like this. What you don't want to do is when they say, why do you want to work for BP? Because I would find this to be a wonderful thing to do because I'm so talented and amazing, and you'd be lucky. Don't be that guy. Nobody wants that guy. Question number 2, why do you want to do this role? Do not make the most obvious mistake that I see people make, which is, I want to do this role because it's a perfect fit for my academic studies and my work experience, and I just think I'd be simply amazing at this job. No one cares. What you want to do is, first of all, explain what you would do in the job, and secondly, why you'd be good at it. Because that's kind of like how HireVue works. What HireVue does is that they will break down the recording of the video, put it into a transcript of words, analyze the words, and then go, hey, that guy knows what he's going to be doing in this job. He knows the skills that are required. He knows what the responsibilities are going to be. We should take him through to the assessment center rather than somebody who just goes on a 3-minute monologue about themselves. Now, if the job description is not particularly helpful, then just go and find a job description that is helpful from a different company, or just look at it online, what a geologist is expected to do, or a drill well engineer, whatever it is that you're going to do at BP. Just make sure that you have a compelling explanation for what you would do in this role. Then when you're explaining about the key skills that are required, pick 4 and just a little bit of proof. You know, I'm a brilliant sound engineer because I've actually worked on producing 3 music albums for local bands in my neighborhood. That would be pretty cool. Anyway, the point is that you can't just say that you're good at the thing without providing proof for the thing. So be like, the thing you're good at, proof of the thing. Question 3, tell me about a time when you had to multitask. Now, all competency-based questions should be answered using STAR: situation, task, action, result. Where were you? What were you doing? What did you do? What happened? What's the result that you achieved? Now, when you're talking about the actions that you took, this is the majority of your answer. So you're not spending loads of time talking about that you were in this particular room, this university, in this class, or going into massive detail about the task that you had to do, or what everybody else was doing, or what they were wearing. You're really talking about, these are the actions that I took. So when you're talking about multitasking, really 2 or more tasks. 3 or 4 tasks is kind of ideal. And I say this having heard hundreds of answers to this question. When somebody picks like 5, 6, 7, 98 tasks, it's way too many tasks. 2 is not enough. It's not really multitasking. It's just like left hand, right hand. But 3 or 4 is kind of ideal, because also you've got to explain the task and how you did the task successfully, right? And if that's something that you struggle to do in terms of explaining stuff or providing additional detail information, a really good way to think about this is don't tell them, teach them. So imagine you're teaching your little cousin or your little sister, or you're teaching your mum how to do something, or you're voice calling with your nan, right? And you're teaching her to do something. You're not going to tell her, you're going to teach her, and the way that you're going to teach is by breaking down the individual steps. Question 4, tell me about a piece of technology you are interested in and how it affects our industry. Now, talking about technology is all the rage and has been for the last couple of years. It features really heavily in lots of different Times Top 100 companies' interviews, and it's going to feature for BP. Maybe not for your interview, but it's something to always keep on top of. Now, this doesn't have to be super complicated. It could be, how they use AI to control the pressure flow of pipe that come through the North Sea, or electricity production. I'm not going to pretend to know that I know a lot about tech, but I would always say have this in your back pocket, particularly if you're going for final interviews. Talking about tech is all about talking about something that is simple, easy for you to understand, easy for you to deliver an opinion about, and easy for you to ask questions about. Now, the last point is really important. Lots of people say, yeah, I could talk about that. And I'm like, aha, but could you answer questions about it? And they're like, no, absolutely not. I mean, you ask me questions and I will just fold like a paper bag. So then don't do that. Pick something that's simpler, and really just pick something that interests you. So it could be about the gamification of an application process for BP. Just something that you find is easy for you to speak on and about. Question 5, how well do you work in a team? Now, on the face of it, this question is kind of like a strength-based question. How well do you work in a team? Oh, well, okay, damn. I'm good. I'm good with people. People good, me, yes, good. So how well do you work in a team? Well, I tend to find that I work really well as part of a team. I get on well with other people. I find that together we can produce something much better than each individual can by themselves. It's also great for camaraderie, to really keep each other going, and also to have that multifaceted skill set that you get with technical and non-technical specialists. Then you can use that strength-based answer to weave into your competency-based question on your competency-based question boat. That sort of thing. There was a time when, and then you can give an example of teamwork when you're talking about staff. Now, when you're talking about teamwork in your any skill and competency-based questions, to demonstrate that skill, give 4 or 5 things that show that you know how to do the thing. It's like if somebody knows about bowling, right? So bowling, so they know that there is a big ball, there are 10 pins, there are guards, you get, smelly special shoes, and you're probably really bad at it. Unless you're not bad at it, in which case I don't want to play you because I'm really bad. But there are things that you know that shows that you know bowling. So there are things that you would know about teamwork, right? Which is about communication, meetings, leadership, resources, helping others, being of service, and so on. And if you don't know that, Google it, or, little product plug, buy Interview Success Secrets. Question number 6, why do you want to work in the energy industry? Now, this is a doozy of a question. I love this question because a lot of people don't naturally set out to work in oil and gas unless they've studied something which is related to oil and gas. Most people kind of come across oil and gas in terms of project management or sales and trading or something to do with investment management. And then all of a sudden you're kind of wandering around. You go, BP, this seems fine. Will you pay me money? Yes, please. So when you're trying to think about why you want to work for the energy industry, it's good to read their annual report. It's good to read white papers. Obviously, BP drives a lot of the energy production and our ability to do many things like to drive our car, locomotives, renewable energy. So many things are driven by energy, and it's important for you to have your own personal reasons for why you want to work in the energy industry, which is relatively easy to do by reading some form of industry news online or digging a little bit deeper into BP's website and all of the great things that they're doing with energy. Question 7, what are your values and how do they align with BP? Okay, quick segue. So, what are BP's values? They have 3. So here's BP's code of conduct. Live our purpose. Safety comes first. Look after each other and our company in the real world and online. Make a positive impact everywhere we work and with everyone we work with. Do the right thing, always follow our code. Play to win, know the competition, there's always someone better. We seek out different views and learn from them. Keep improving, become more agile, more digital and more efficient with the money we spend. Be accountable, we follow through on our promises. When we can't or make mistakes, we own it. And care for others, be kind, get to know those you work with, show real interest, be supportive. Prioritize the team, leave your ego at the door, be inclusive, collaborative and open to honest feedback. Put yourself in other people's shoes, especially our partners, suppliers and customers. Ask how we can help them. So basically you've got 9 values that you can choose from. Now, your values are your values, right? And I don't think that this is something you want to spend a big part of the answer covering, but you can cover maybe 2 your values, 2 of BP's values and how they align, and by giving a concrete example of where this was the case. Question number 8, explain a time when you faced a challenge in the workplace and what you did to overcome this challenge. Now, this challenge could be multifaceted. It could be purely you've got loads of work to do. It could be that you have a difficult person, you have a difficult customer, you have a changing set of scenarios or things that needed to be done, or something needs to be redone because it wasn't correct. But the most important thing with this is being really clear about what the challenge is, not making it too complex, being clear about what it is that you did. And I think for me, as a bit of a bonus, how you helped or affected others in order to overcome this challenge. So the reason why I say this is when you think about overcoming challenges from a professional context, most of the time, big challenges are going to be overcome as part of a team. Yes, of course, you could be some sort of Einstein genius having a breakthrough, but more likely than not, you're working on something which is big and you're having to overcome this with your team members. And it doesn't have to be complex. It could just be something as simple as, I work at a restaurant, it was really busy, and this is how we team together to fulfill all of those customers. Question number 9, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Okay, this is quite a big question, though it doesn't sound like it. And if it was me, I would choose 2 strengths, 1 weak. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is I like to think about, and this is a good way of thinking for presentations, 1 minute, 1 thing. So 1 minute, 1 question, or 1 minute, 1 point. So what are your strengths and weaknesses? So here are 2 strengths and 1 weakness. Here's the strength. The strength should relate to the job description and what you're doing, and also should have proof. Weakness is just something that you've learned, a mistake that you made. Maybe you weren't so great at time management when you were at university. Maybe you missed a deadline. Maybe you were a little bit too arrogant or over ambitious and you failed an exam. But really all you're trying to show with the weakness is that you have learned from this thing, and then this is how you've done it better, because now that you put that into place, you did the project, you're more humble, you passed the exam. Okay, so now that we've done all of that, I wanted to touch on situational judgment test questions. Quite a few of the candidate interviews that we looked at mentioned SJT style questions, that it was very important. And as ever, whenever we break down the interview processes for companies, we like to kind of cover all of the aspects that could come up. Now, we're not technical specialists, that's not something that we've ever claimed to be, but SJTs are very much in our wheelhouse, and we've seen them come up before for Deloitte, for KPMG, for Lloyd's, and here we wanted to pick out an example and a framework for you to understand how to answer this question. If you want to know more about how to answer SJT questions, check out our completely free video called SJT Sorted, which is a 20+ minute guideline that walks you through how to answer SJT questions. Now, within that was a framework to answer any SJT, and this is a 4-step framework that I like to go through. Now, first of all, every SJT question is based around a competency or skill. Now, this could be a cognitive skill like problem solving, a personality trait like independence, an interpersonal skill like communication, an attitude like working under management, or a leadership skill like teamwork or responsibility. So it's important to think, what is the skill that's being tested? Next thing is, what is the context? And I'm then going to go through an example so you can understand how this all fits together. Otherwise, it's very hard to think about things when it's all just theoretical and it's not practical. So what's the context? Who's involved? What do they need? Who gets priority if there is more than one person? What are your responsibilities and obligations? What is your position and the extent of your authority? What is the wider context of the role you're applying to in real life? So here's an example that comes from our SJT Sorted course, and it comes from the book that accompanies that course, which is on our website. You are working as a tax consultant and have been part of the department for 2 weeks. Dave, one of your team members, has fallen ill and is absent from work today. You receive an urgent phone call from the financial director of one of Dave's big clients, who sounds frustrated. Going over their quarterly tax report, they have discovered difficulties understanding some of Dave's recommendations. They're on a tight schedule and don't want to make any mistakes. You are not familiar with this account. Okay, so first of all, what are the skills? Well, this is really all about problem solving and strategic skills. You know, solving a problem and dealing with a complex situation. It's a cognitive problem, right? And then next, what's the context? So who's involved? Well, there's you, there's Dave, and then there's the client. What do they need? Well, the client wants answers to the complexity of their tax report. Who gets priority if there is more than one person? Well, the client gets priority sometimes, but actually who gets priority is always your company, right? The company that you're working for is going to get priority, because if you're the one who gives bum advice and then they're the one that get it in the neck, then you're probably going to be the one who's going to get their keep home. What are your responsibilities and obligations? Well, your responsibilities and obligations is you're some kind of new guy. So you don't have any responsibilities and obligations. You're just some guy who picked up the phone, someone's shouting at you, and you're like, okay, I'll be sure to pass that along. So really, what are you going to do? Well, you're just going to let Dave know. Probably won't call him. You're going to send Dave an email and say, hi Dave, I just had, Mildred on from blah, blah. They want to know X, Y, Z. Please, can you let me know what to suggest to them? And what's the wider context of the role you're applying to in real life? Well, the wider context is that you're new, you're trying to help your team the best that you can. The person who's written the report isn't even here and the client is upset, but unfortunately sometimes happen, right? So they're just gonna have to wait. But you're gonna have to do that in a way which is not so like, well, you're just gonna have to wait. So look, of course that's absolutely no problem. I'm gonna let Dave know right now. Just to let you know, Dave is actually off sick and he was the one who worked on the report and signed off all of those recommendations. I'm sure as soon as he's up and about that he'll get back to me, and I'll be sure to drop him a message right now, straight after this call, and then every day henceforth, because I know it's really important for you guys that you need to know what's happening. I'm also going to flag this up with my manager because perhaps they can read through the report and give you the recommendations that you need in terms of your questions. I wish I could be of more help myself, but I'm actually relatively new to the role, so I'm just settling in. So what you always want to think about with SJT questions is, you know, these 6 questions, like who's involved, what's the context, and always trying to be active rather than passive. You know, you could turn around and go, not my problem, like Dave's sick, bruv. Like, what do you want me to do? You want to be proactive, but you still want to, there's an element of conservatism, but there is an element of being conservative in terms of your response. It's not like, hey, sure, let me just have a look at that. Like, these are big decisions, these are big problems, and this is therefore something that you really do need to defer to somebody more senior than you in order to be guided in terms of where you should go and what you should do. And it's always thinking about how can I be positive and how can I be effective. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this. Click a like because it helps us to know that you liked the video, and drop us a comment down below about how you found the video or what companies you'd like us to cover next. Bye.